actor, author, certified life coach, encourager, family man, dynamic inspirational speaker, and so much more. Welcome to my podcast, Get Your Positivity with Harold Keith. All right, here we are for another episode of Get Your Positivity. Now, you know, I love to say it, and you might love to hear it. Look, we're recording early today, so if you see something in my eyes, just let me know. Oh, wait, you can't because this is a recording. All right, so what I'm going to say is we are up and early, but positivity has no time frame, and sometimes you have to listen when something is given to you or a message has to be delivered. You cannot hold on. So when you see this, it'll be evening, probably, most likely, knowing you. But right now, we are getting it done. I have a special guest in the building who is overqualified for such an occasion, but I'm excited about it. I hope you've been listening to the previous episodes, and I hope that you are ready for what's about to happen today, because the topic is the escape of music. Once again, the escape of music. Everybody has a song that they love. Everybody, when they're going through an emotion, can pick a song to advertise or just to speak on their behalf. I do it all the time. I remember when I used to get mad sometimes. You played a song, you would know that song is about our situation. And then when you're feeling good, you're in love, you play those songs. And then other times, you know, when you're going through a breakup, everybody's going down with Mary J. Blige. So I'm just saying, there's so many different styles of music, so many different elements of music. There's the instruments, and there's so many different ways to express through music. So I'm excited to have this guest on today. So I'm not going to hold him on the waiting room much longer. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. And we have our special guest, Darian. Let's welcome him. Hey.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing good. You got me up early today. Today is a day that the Lord has made, so I will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, for sure.
How do I want to do this? Well, first, what we do here is we want our guests and those who are listening and those who are viewing to know who you are. What is it that you do? What do you want them to know about Darian? So I'm going to give it to you because I don't do the bios. I'm going to let you do it.
Sure. So my name is Darian Clonts. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I grew up. I went to Performing Arts High School there. I went to Morehouse College for my bachelor's. I later moved to Indiana University, where I got my master's and doctorate in music. So I have 3 degrees in music. I'm currently living in New Jersey, close to the New York City area, and I am a professor of voice. So I'm actually on the voice faculty here in New Jersey at William Patterson University and Montclair State University. And I'm also on the voice faculty at the University of Evansville in Evansville, Indiana. So that's, of course, virtual. I'm not flying back and forth, but that's virtual. So I stay pretty busy, but music is my life, as you can see. I'm literally all over the city, New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, teaching music and teaching people how to sing and teaching about the joy of music. So,
you know what? I almost forgot that you did all of that, to be honest.
It's like that is I can never forget. Yeah. It's a whole lot, but it keeps me busy, and it keeps me doing what I love, which is music. So I'm fine with it.
So you can teach anybody how to sing?
I can. That's my personal opinion. The other voice teachers have different opinions and whatnot, but my opinion is that I can teach every person how to sing. Now, the different level may vary.
I just need to know how to carry a tune, because I want to be able to sing to my viewers and listeners. I want them to hear something, but every time it comes out, I think in my head it comes out a different kind of way than what people hear. But I want it to match. I don't want to be a Mariah Carey. I don't want to be a Luther Vandross. I just want to kind of talk through the song, but it still sounds like okay. All right. I'm getting off.
No, I get it. I have some students who I always ask them. I ask them a list of questions so I know how to teach them and how to, which direction to steer them. And some of them are like, listen, I just want to be able to stand on stage and know what's coming out, and some students are like, I want to be on Broadway next week. So, I can all levels,
Yeah.
no
I'm
problem.
gonna be real. I know I'm not looking for Broadway, but I am looking to get maybe a one-hit wonder, but
Hey, why
like
not?
a nice little flow to
Right.
it.
Why not? Why not?
All right. So for all of those who are watching and those who are listening, I'm going to have a single coming to you soon because I'm going to go ahead and enter the Zooms in a virtual world with Darian. So
That's all right.
I couldn't imagine such a more fit guest to talk about the escape of music and whatever that means. Like, I mean, music can go in so many different directions. And I know this is a conversation that can go into different elements and all of that. But when we have on our guests, we talk about real life, real issues with real experiences from real people. So this is all about your experience with music and the escape of that for you. So we're going to go ahead and transition into our Get Your Positivity segment. And then we'll be continuing on with the topic of the escape of music. So
Right.
y'all know what it is. Let's go. All right, so we here with Darian, and he is a music genius. I'm going to give him that title. He might be a little shy, but I'm going to give him that title because he's going to do miracles with my vocals that one. But until we get there, Darian, let's just talk about the escape of music. Like, when did your love for music start? How did you get on this path for music? And like, how has music transitioned you through some of your toughest times in life? Like for me, I can say music is my escape, but I didn't go to school for it, or I
Mhm.
didn't get qualified for it. I didn't even get singing lessons until about 2022 when we get
Mhm.
started. So I'm just trying to figure out what does music really mean to you? Like, what is the escape of music in your eyes?
Music is literally everything for me. I joke all the time that music is the only thing that I can do. I have, students who can draw, they play guitar, like they paint and all that. I can't do those things. But, as far as music, that's, a gift that I was really, really given. And that's, the only thing that I can do. I started at a young age in church. That's where my love for music started. I had a church that had a really good choir. Well, actually, there were six choirs, and they were all really, really good. So I grew up with a really strong music program in my choir and in my church, and so I know I was always so excited when the choir got up to sing. I didn't want to hear a sermon or anything, but I wanted to hear the choir sing, and that's what really started my love for music. I joined the choir when I was 3 years old. 3 years old. I joined the choir with my dad, and I've been singing in the choirs ever since at my church. And so then, like I said, I went to a performing arts high school. It just kind of developed. I started taking voice lessons once I got to high school. I started singing at a young age, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of going off of my natural talent. Then I started to study it once I got to high school, and then that's when I got into musical theater. And then from high school, got into more opera. So it just kind of was a development all the way through, but I never forgot where I started, which was in the church. So it's been such music has been such an escape for me. I mean, really, it's like if I can't do anything else, I know that music is something that I am very passionate about and that I have a gift in. So
At what moment did you realize like that it wasn't just a hobby thing? Like, when did it really hit? Like, this is where I'm at. Like, for real, for real.
it was kind of a progression kind of thing when nothing else really gave me a satisfaction, like music did. When I really didn't wasn't really interested in anything else, I was like, oh, this is something that I have to do. And I also was fortunate to have parents who were uh, very instrumental in my musical growth.
Mm.
Whatever it was that I wanted to do, or, and not even just music, but anything that I wanted to try, whether it was baseball, whether it was anything else, they allowed me to do that and then find where I kind of bloomed and what I really, really enjoyed. So I remember I had my first drum set, was at my house, and my parents bought for me for Christmas. And as much as I used to wear that drum set out all times of night or whatever, they never complained. They never complained because they knew that I was working on my gift, working on my talent and whatnot. And they bought me my first small piano, and so they were very. I had parents who were very instrumental in allowing me to find what worked best for me. And then I had other mentors and whatnot who told me, "Hey, you have a gift." In high school, I had my choir teacher who said, "I think he really should be like the student conductor and student director," and he appointed me at that when I was just a junior in high school. So, I with my own thoughts about what music means to me, and the kind of feeling that I get from music, I also was influenced by my mentors and family in my life. So that's what I'm like. This music thing is really going to be something that I'm really going to do for the rest of my life. So
And then now you're here. So,
yeah,
me, I never was one. And I know many people are probably listening and watching who really knew all the elements of where music could really take you. And
yeah,
music has a lot of different elements because there's so many different parts of music.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so for you and for those who are listening, there might be a young person listening, there might be someone who is like really into music but just doesn't know where to go, where to start. Like, how do you figure this out? Like, how do you see
Yeah,
what the world of music really is?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. There are so many different aspects of music. Really, once you get into, decide what you like about music, you really get into it. You can just, figure out where you belong. I mean, I have some friends who are uh, international opera singers. I mean, that's what they do. That's their gig. They are singing in Europe, singing in all these different countries and whatnot. And so they took the performer route, whereas I took more of the academic route. Then I have some friends who are in arts administration, where they're working with different artists and whatnot in the theater. If whether it be in the box office or backstage or whatnot. It's the same thing with being like a music producer. If you're not the greatest singer or whatnot, but then you love music, you can figure out a way to get into the studio, kind of figure out the computers, figure out the system, the soundboard and whatnot, so that you can help other people in the studio and help them reach their goals as far as what they want to do with recording music and that kind of thing. So that's what I love really about music, is that there are so many different avenues that you can take, so that you can still be a part of the music genre. Even though you may not be singing or you may not be playing an instrument or whatnot, you can still be involved in music, which, the possibilities are literally limitless as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
Music is just such a fluid topic.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I definitely did pick up from this, because someone who's never thought about it like that, because I knew that was not really my lane, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
stick to what God has given me to
Mhm.
do.
Mhm. Yeah.
He's given me a voice, but it's not necessarily a voice to sing
Right.
until this year, after we're done.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but no, for those who are listening and those who are watching, if you love something and you can't breathe without it, it just is always with you. It's your escape. It brings you peace. It brings you joy. And that it's something that God is really putting on you, then my suggestion would be to dive in. Most of the times we miss our true happiness because we're not aligned with where God is trying to
Mhm.
tell us to go and trying to
Mhm.
show us
Mhm.
where to go.
Mhm.
So oftentimes we're by the pool, but we want to sit on the sideline
Mhm.
and we miss our opportunity to jump in. And
Mhm.
sometimes we even get to that diving board, but because we're fearful of how deep it may go, or is it deep enough, or where is this taking me, or sometimes you just have to jump and dive in.
Mhm.
And the beauty of this industry and the beauty of music is you can always make, create, and find your beat.
Mhm. Yeah.
But you have to take that leap. You have to
Mhm.
jump in. You have to have faith. You have to believe in you. You have to trust your gifts. You have to
Mhm.
trust the visions that God has given you. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we set ourselves up because we'll rather sit back and play it safe.
Mhm.
And while we're playing it safe, there's someone in that water swimming away.
Mhm.
They might
Yeah.
not be the best. You might be better.
Yeah.
but because they're in the water.
Hmm. Yeah. That's a great point. And as far as, I'm concerned, in my journey, I had to really start to listen to God because I was listening to other people. So
Mm,
as far as me, I was always kind of a go-getter. So, I wasn't necessarily like too shy about, jumping in or whatnot, but I was not listening to where God was trying to lead me. I was listening to what other people were saying, oh, well, this is the path that typically happens, especially I think about when I went to get my master's uh, in music and in singing and voice. I was about to go down one path because I thought that was the path that, I should go down. Oh, I'm getting my master's. I go down this path and whatnot. And I had to, really listen to where God was leading me because I was like, this isn't really, and I'm not really feeling this. But I was listening to other people, but I was just like, this isn't working. Then I realized that I actually was not listening to God. And he's like, this is actually not what I want you to do at all. So I had to, change my thinking and realize that I need to submit to his will. Because that's the only thing that's going to work out. I learned that a long time ago that if his will is what's best for my life, and it's not going to work out like I want it to unless I submit to what he wants me to do. So it's a matter of having the faith and the courage to really, like you said, dive into what God has planned for you, but then to also listen and make sure that you're tapped in and listening to what he wants you to do as well. Otherwise, it may not, work out quite like you want it to. You have to be tapped in and connected to listening to where he wants you to go. So,
and you know what? You said something that is also important, influences of others. And one thing that you have to be mindful of is how long you have people around in your seasons and who's always around you and what they're pouring into you
mhm,
versus what they're taking out of you.
mhm,
Because sometimes people have a tendency and they don't even know it to project their dreams
mhm,
on you.
mhm,
Or their thoughts on you. You
mhm,
have to know you have to know how to receive things and
mhm,
how to filter them out. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? And
mhm.
what to do with them.
Oh yeah.
And I had to learn this lesson is that I had a mentor that I really looked up to. But even in your mentors, sometimes they're only assigned to you for a certain chapter because they're not going where God has designed you to go.
Mhm,
They're capped for whatever their reasons are. That's their
mhm,
journey. You can't
mhm,
focus on that. But
mhm,
sometimes you do outgrow the mentor.
mhm,
Sometimes your direction shifts and they can no
mhm.
longer help you. And
Yeah.
then you be appreciative of the time that you did have and be appreciative of the lessons that you did learn. But then you have to realize when you have outgrown
Mhm,
that you don't stay in a course
mhm,
for your whole life and
mhm,
you've already passed it.
mhm, mhm.
You got to
Right.
elevate.
Right.
And that
Right.
means a change of a professor. It means a
Mhm,
change of scenery.
mhm,
It can mean so many different things. And
mhm,
it's the same thing with your life.
mhm,
And I just feel like since we're talking about music, hear the song of God and follow his moves. Don't
mhm,
follow Beyonce's dance moves. Don't
mhm,
follow Riri's dance
mhm,
moves. I mean, Chris Brown is great, but don't follow his dance moves.
mhm,
Don't get into the ushers of the world. I don't
mhm.
know any opera singers, so but don't do all that. Okay,
Right. Right.
but more so create your own rhythm. I'm not
Mhm,
saying don't be inspired.
mhm,
I'm not saying you can't pull from,
mhm.
but be mindful of what you're pulling in because sometimes it sabotages your own journey.
Yeah, yeah, you have to find literally your own path, your own journey. And that, I mean, and like we already said, that's what's so great about music. And that's when I, at that moment where I was like, oh, I don't know which, I was just like, wow, there are so many different avenues that I can take. And that's the great thing about, this field that I'm in, or this love for music. We can go in so many different directions, and outside people can influence your thoughts. It's just you gotta stay connected in. So
That is
mhm,
like definitely true. So in the escape of music, right now we're living in some times where it's just people are losing people left and right. I mean, things that aren't new to the world, they're just more visible, I
mhm,
say.
mhm,
These are things that have always been happening, but it
mhm,
just seems because it's so
Yeah, it's in your
I have my
face.
own reasonings on
Yeah.
that, and I'm not even going to get into that on this. But can you give me an example of the time? Because people are dealing with mental health is real.
Mhm.
So can you give me a time when you were down and out, but music really pulled you through, and how did it pull you through? Because I know someone is listening, someone is watching, and they're going through it, and they're hearing what we're saying, but they're just like, how do I hear that song? Like, what is it?
Yeah. Had a lot of times that I was really down and out, and I I consider myself really blessed that I haven't had any really hard times comparatively to other people, right?
Hmm.
There are a lot of people who are going through a lot, worse things than what I've ever gone through. So I'm really blessed that I haven't, lost any of my parents or any of my siblings and that kind of thing. I know some people have gone through that, but I've still gone through struggles that were difficult for me. If I think, back to 2020, I'm working on my doctorate and whatnot, and I'm doing my qualifying exams. I'm trying to write my dissertation and whatnot so that I can get done with my degree, so I can apply for jobs, so that I'll get hired because they're only looking for people who have the doctorate. Then all of a sudden, COVID hits. And I can't even get into the library to get the books that are in my little cubicle so that I can write my dissertation. I'm without all of my resources, yet my professors want all of these deadlines. I'm meeting, I have to meet all these things. There were so many times during my qualifying exams and writing my dissertation where I literally was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do this. No way I'm ever going to be able to get this done. No way I'm ever going to be able to reach this goal. I mean, I cried more times during that period than I've ever cried in my life, ever. And it's more times than I'm even willing to admit, because it was so difficult for me going through this. When I want something and I see a goal and I'm really, fixed on it, and I really want it to happen, but all these, stumbling blocks come going my way. It's just like, how am I ever going to get this done? But I think about this one song, and it's an arrangement of a spiritual. It's called "Stand the Storm." And I sing that song sometimes. I sing it on a Black History Month concert back in 2019 or 2018, around that time. And it the words are basically, "Stand the storm, it won't be long. You'll anchor by and by." I literally had to think about that song over and over to get me through what I was going through, because it was, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's like the light just keeps getting further and further away. But I had to think back to myself. I'm like, okay, this is just a period. A storm will pass over. There hasn't been a storm yet that has not passed over. So I know that this is just a short amount of time that's happening here. And that song just had to keep me going, to know that this isn't going to last forever. It's happening right now, and it seems like it's the worst thing I've ever gone through. And it seems like it's never going to end, but it will end. I'll anchor by and by. So that really, I mean, believe it or not, it really did keep me going in the right direction. So, I encourage anyone who's listening to realize what a storm is. It's rough. It's painful. It's gloomy. There's rain. There's not much light, but a storm does eventually pass over if you can just you know hold on and not just give in, not just throw in the towel. A storm will eventually pass over. So, yeah.
Listen, so here you are, no resources, but still expected to deliver.
Right, right. I there were times I was like, I don't know if they understand what's going on. I might like I'm wondering if my professors are like, do they get that I'm my dissertation was 115 pages of material, and I had over 100 resources that I was supposed to use. I'm supposed to have this, length of, a paper or whatnot, but I have literally no resources, no books to reference or anything like that. And I'm like, how am I ever going to make this happen. So I had to like kind of reevaluate things, kind of calm myself down and go in a different direction and whatnot, stay prayed up because that was the main thing. I had to stay, stay prayed up. And then God really showed me different ways that I can kind of make this happen. And that's really was the storm just kind of passing over and realizing that if I kept the faith, if I kept doing what he called me to do, he's going to make a way for me to do it. When all odds are stacked against me, he's
Exactly.
going to make a way for things to happen.
That's what it is. Faith is a factor.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't push anything on anyone, but faith is a factor.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was good. That was exactly what the doctor ordered for
Yeah.
that, because that on point. That is the truth. You
Hmm.
have to realize that storms aren't necessarily created to break you. They're more created to pull out what's already within you. And sometimes you don't even know what you have within you. Sometimes you don't even realize what you're really capable of until
Hmm.
you're tested through
Hmm.
the storm, because
Hmm.
then you'll realize all the resources you need are right there. And
Hmm.
even going through that tunnel, yes, the light may look far, but sometimes you are assigned to be the light
Hmm.
through the tunnel.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Hmm.
And
For
and
sure.
and oftentimes we miss that because we get so caught up on what it looks like.
Hmm.
But a lot of the things that God produces, a lot of things that happen, we don't see what it looks like until after we're already through it.
That is true. Absolutely. And I realized that, I mean, I was 30, when that happened or whatnot. So it took me a little while to get to that point where I was just like, wow, where I had to come to that realization that you just described and what I just described as well, where it's like, uh, God is going to provide everything that I need. A
Exactly.
storm is I'm in the storm right now, but I'm going to make it through. And I did. I did. I made it through later than I anticipated, later than I wanted, but it still happened, and I'm still grateful for the journey. I wouldn't change anything about it because it really did. It strengthened my faith, and then it
Mhm.
strengthened me as a writer, strengthened me as a musician, and all that. So.
See, that look, I didn't know we were getting all of this today, but I knew it was a reason why we were doing this, because we talk about the escape of music, but music is life. Everything has a sound, everything
Mhm.
has a rhythm, everything has a beat, everything has a time frame, everything creates
Mhm.
something bigger.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
is what music is. It
Yes.
evokes emotion, it evokes like sounds. Like people take anything, you can take anything and create music. I can tap this back wall
Oh,
and music.
yeah, no, you don't even know. Being so music driven, everywhere I go, I hear I hear music. I hear rhythms. I hear notes. I hear everywhere I go, music is always around me. And you would think I would get tired of it, but I'm not. I'm not tired. I'm not tired of it yet. I can't get enough of it, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I have music as my job. As I tell my students all the time, my first meeting with my students, I tell them, we have a great profession. Our job as musicians and singers is to bring joy and entertainment and evoke emotions out of other people. Whereas I think about other people who have different jobs, like writing parking tickets for a living and whatnot. You know, I couldn't do a job like that.
Right.
I couldn't wake up every morning knowing that I'm going to upset someone else. You know what I mean? Because no one's ever happy to get a parking ticket. So but that's what they have to do. That's their job. They have to
That's their
go and
job.
do their job. Whereas our job as musicians and singers is to literally do the opposite, to bring joy and entertainment to other people, on a daily basis. So.
Woo. All right. So, I mean, I think, if you didn't catch any, for those who are watching, you see the passion. For those who are listening, if you don't hear it, you're missing. If you didn't pull anything from just that segment alone, then I need you to hit replay. Don't even go further. Just start all over, because some things have been said. What was that? I said what I said.
Right.
And that's that. That's
Right.
the end. So, with that being said, I mean, I feel like, I'm also mindful of overfeeding at points. And I feel like we said enough,
Mm.
like, enough to get somebody through something. But we're about to transition into our one word of advice segment, which is a segment where you are going to give a word of advice to the listeners and to the viewers. And when I say a word, I'm not talking about just one word from the dictionary. When I say you go to church. That's what I'm saying. All right, so we're about to transition into our a word of advice segment. All right, so Darian, what will be
Yes.
your one word of advice for those who are listening and for those who are watching when it comes to just the escape of music and life?
Yeah. So really, I mean, I do have one word, and it's perseverance. Really, that's what it is, and it kind of goes back into the song that I was talking about with "Stand the Storm." Just talking about that and what that song really means and what those words really mean. If you persevere, if you just keep on going, you will make it to the end. So there are a lot of things, and with COVID going on and whatnot. Sometimes it's like with another variant, it's like, oh, MG, are we ever going to get through this thing? But I think if we can just all kind of persevere and just keep on going, we will eventually, who knows when, but we'll eventually get through this thing. So it's a little bit more than one word, but that's my one word: perseverance.
I'm with it. I'm with it. And for those who are listening, y'all know I always try to give you something. But on this episode today, what I want to say is in all things that you do, realize that it's never really about you, but more so what God is trying to do with you. And when you hear his voice and you move to his rhythm, when you move to his songs, you will create masterpieces beyond what you could even imagine. But you have to always pay attention to when it's you versus when it's him,
Hmm,
because there is a difference and it matters.
hmm, mhm.
All right, so we have another new segment that we've been adding on. I didn't do no fancy intro for it yet, but what is one quote? I know I put from a song, but it doesn't have to be from a song. What is just one quote that you would choose to encourage someone else with to never give up, to keep going, to keep moving, to find their beat, whatever that is? What is one quote that you would share?
Yeah, one of my favorite songs. Like I said, I grew up in the church, so one of my favorite songs and favorite hymns of the church. It's called "I Trust in God," and it says, "I trust in God. I know He cares for me. On the mountain peak or on the stormy sea, though billows roll, He keeps my soul. My heavenly Father watches over me." And that's actually I have that tattooed on me. I trust in God, just as a reminder for me that my trust needs to be completely in Him,
Mm,
and not in man, not in anyone else, not anything of this world, but my trust is in Him. And it says that He keeps my soul. My heavenly Father watches over me as everything else is going on in the world, everything else going on in my life or whatnot. He's still watching over me. So that's something that I think can really, keep us headed in the right direction when it seems like all else, is gone, and it seems like there's nothing else. Remember that He is watching over us. So,
there you go. There you have it. All right, so y'all, we're about to wrap up this episode, but I know some of you are saying, I want to get singing lessons like you, Harold Keith, and I want to figure this thing out. I want to know more about this, and I want to know more about that. So we're going to transition into our Where Is, and today it's Where is Darian segment. So, Darian, this is a segment where you can allow people to know where they can find you, follow you on only the platforms that you see fit, um, and all the methods that you see fit. I know you had a lot more to offer, but I kept it really simple. But yeah, this is your moment. So, where can people find you?
sure, yeah. So I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram. So my Facebook is just Darian Clonts, my first and last name. My Instagram is Dr. Clonts, so Dr. period Clonts. That's my Instagram, and then also you can find me on my website as well, www.darianclonts.com. I have some recordings of me singing on there. Most of it is classical music and whatnot, since that's what I do. But I am on those platforms. So yeah, you can find me. Send me a message or whatnot, and let's connect.
All right. Okay. So now that we got all of that out of the way, okay, we always end the episode with our song of the episode. But before we get into that, okay, first we want to say thank you for joining us today. Thank you for
Sure. Thank you
making
for
your
having me.
time.
Yeah.
I put him through the ringer to finally get to this. We had a few cancellations, a few transitions, but we're here. We always keep it transparent, but we are here, and I'm glad that we are here. And I knew that it was for a reason, and I know that we got much more from this than what I thought we were even going to get. For those who are keeping up, just don't forget to keep up with us at It's Harold Keith on Instagram. He is Harold Keith on Facebook, and www.itsharoldkeith.com. Remember, consistent positivity from all angles. Don't miss out on it. Remember, the world gives enough negativity. I know y'all love y'all reality shows. I know y'all love to get a little ratchet. That's the bougie way of saying ratchet. But you got to also stay grounded and stay clear, so that you can receive the blessings that are already promised over your life. So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and transition into the song of the episode. All right, so slight disclaimer before you announce the song of the episode. For those who are watching, you're going to have to Google it. You're going to have to YouTube it. You're going to have to do what you need to do because we're not going to play it after this. But for those who are listening, you're going to hear two songs. You're going to hear Stand the Storm, and then you're going to hear whatever is about to be said out of the musical genius's mouth. My future and current trainer, I'm going to have to vocal. So I'm interested to sing the song. Y'all want to hear my? Okay, no, I'm not going to sing right now. We're going to save that for a live or something. All right. So with that being said, if you can name one song to be your theme song in life right now, what would it be?
It would absolutely be I Trust in God. Absolutely. It's a hymn of the church. It's an older hymn. A lot of people don't even know it anymore. So, yeah, go on YouTube and listen to it. My Heavenly Father Watches Over Me. That's another title for the hymn, but it's I Trust in God. Beautiful song. I would sing it if it wasn't so early in the morning and give you a little sample, but you know,
You can have your hot tea.
right. I haven't had my tea yet. I haven't had my honey and lemon and all that stuff. So I can't really give it to you right now. But that's the song. Like I said, it's tattooed on my chest as a daily reminder. I trust in God.
All right, so we appreciate you, Darian. Again, for those who would like to keep up with him, follow him on Instagram at dr.dr.clonts, Clonts, or you can just go ahead and see what he's about at his website, www.darianclonts.com. He already said the Facebook and all of that, so if you didn't catch it, you're going to have to rewind and catch it again. All right. So we appreciate you being here. And
Thank
again,
you. Thank you for
for
having me.
those who are watching, our journey concludes here for this episode, but I'll see you again for the next episode. But for those who are listening, we're about to play for you Stand the Storm and I Trust in God. All right. Thank you so much, Darian. And I hope you enjoy these songs because they've gotten them through. All
Yes.
right. Be blessed, everybody.
All right.